Mike, how do you describe this one?
Can't say it. Not good. Obviously, the production we had wasn't good enough to win the game. You go in at halftime at 8-3 and you got a real shot. And we let it slip through our fingers.
You made the decision to replace Marv then with Brahms that just, I presume, to try to ignite something?
Just trying to get something going. Trying to fire something up because, it's the CFL. It's never over, right? So if you can make the change and get a quick score, do something on special teams, create a turnover on defense, something like that, get back on the field offensively, maybe you generate something.
There's obviously no easy answer, but this team offensively has struggled to get going. Even when Drew was in, it's not as if you guys were being able to put up a significant number of points. When you look at this offense overall, how do you describe it and what do you attribute that to?
Well, I'm not in that mode right now to look at it overall. I'm going to look at this game first. I mean, part of that evaluation happens during the bye week, and you try and correct some things that you want to correct. You look at specific parts of the game that you need to look at. But the most important thing right now is checking this film and making those corrections, making sure everybody's gonna make sure everybody was working hard enough. Evaluate the process we went through this past week. Did we give our team as a coaching staff? Did we give our team enough opportunities to win? I mean, obviously not. And how are we going to change that next week? We've got to quickly watch this film and get going on to the next one.
The defensive guys in there were saying all the right things. They didn't give up an offensive drive to Calgary until like midway through the third. How tough is it for that defense when the offense just doesn't get anything going? Like, did they just basically buckle under the pressure of trying to carry the offense for that long?
I challenge their statement there, honestly, that they're saying the right things. That would imply that they don't believe it. We're not going to have a problem with our guys sticking together. So the defense understands the situation they're in, and they can't allow that many points in the second half.
But even with the rough starting spots and things like that, like, doesn't it have an effect on them, I guess, is my question?
Yeah, I think it inspires them. It should inspire them.
Okay. So we
should make them dig in.
Are you going to keep going with Robert?
We'll have to see. We'll look at the film and see, offensively, all 12 guys on every single play, what exactly happened. Make a determination from there, and then we'll see how the practice week goes.
What about the penalties today? How disturbing was that for you?
Yeah, that's, penalties, turnovers, that's generally how you lose games against good teams. That was disappointing. You're playing a tight game, and you can't afford those types of mistakes.
So you're as disappointed in the defense as you are in the offense? Did I hear that right or not?
Well, when you give up 28 points in the second half, when you go in 8-3 and you give up 28 points in the second half, I'm disappointed in mostly everything, including myself. Did I give them enough to allow us to go out there and be great in the second half? Obviously not.
The guys on offense said nothing Calgary did on defense surprised them, so how do you kind of account for such a poor offensive production?
Just didn't execute it well enough today. Didn't give the players enough to allow us to win, and didn't execute it on the field as well as we needed to.
And a good runner like Marv, when he's sacked 5 times, how does that happen?
Can't answer that right now. I need to see how that happened, how those 5 sacks happened. So once again, it's never one thing. Right? Generally, when a sack happens, there are at least 2 breakdowns.
How do you feel about the game plan, offensively?
Well, when we go back and look at the film, we'll see whether or not we had guys open and whether or not there were plays to be made, and that can be evaluated then. I felt fairly strongly about the game plan going in.
What's it like to hear the fan discontent?
That's painful. Yep. We, you know, as a group, they understand how important these fans are to us. I mean, they're responsible for another penalty probably tonight, how loud they are. You know, they keep coming out, and it's tough to expect them to keep coming out when we put a second half together like that. I think at halftime, the fans had some real hope. They were still loud through the third quarter, and then when you see them leaving, it's pretty difficult. And rightly so. We need to do better for them because they're great fans.
How would you assess the team at the midway point of the season overall?
Yeah, we got a bunch of hard-working guys that are going to stick together. We've got to figure out a way to make that work for us, for the next 9 games, specifically the next game, and put ourselves in a position to be in the playoffs.
With the NFL cuts coming, I know guys don't come up immediately, but you're going to be able to expand your practice roster at some point here in the next month or so. 3 losses in a row now. Do you start looking at personnel a little more closely than you have been?
You look at personnel every week. You look at personnel. That's part of the evaluation you go through when you watch game film. You look at personnel. Kyle and his staff are constantly working. It's not that they take a break and then all of a sudden start looking when NFL cuts are being made. It's a continual process. It's professional sport. Everybody understands that. Everybody involved.